Welcome to No Brainer MMA. What's up, Dan?
What's good? What's good?
How are you?
Pretty good. We just recorded a video, so
Yeah, we
I'm
did.
feeling hot.
Yeah. We just did our top 10 prospects, and now we're going to get right into weight classes. We're talking about weight classes in the UFC.
Yeah. This is a subject that I feel pretty strongly about. Um, it's like, put it this way. Like, when you look at the UFC, you got the flyweights 125, bantamweights 135, featherweights 145, lightweights 155, then you go up to welterweight
Right.
170, and then you go up to middleweight 185, and then you go to lightweight 205. Now, why don't you go out? I think, in my personal opinion, what makes the most sense is you make a 165 division, a 175, 185, 195, and then 205. So you have those five divisions instead of 170, 185, and 205. So you stretch those three over five separate divisions. There's a couple reasons to do this, and it'll make sense from a business standpoint as well. I know Dana White says he didn't want to do this, but it just makes sense. First of all, guys, like, put it this way, like Usman, for example, he's a
Right.
fucking enormous welterweight. Um, he would probably be a 175 fighter. You know,
Right.
um, small middleweights. Actually, no, they would stay at 185 probably, or they could drop down. Yeah, and they could drop down to 175 because 170 is too much of a cut, but they could make that 10-pound difference in the weight cut to make 170. So it could, like, first of all, it could benefit fighters' health, and like a guy, then you get like a guy like Jorge Masvidal in the division. He's not as big as Usman.
Right.
Like, he can make 165, I believe, like, no problems.
Right.
He used to fight a lightweight, like, and now he fights at 170. Like, I feel like 165 is Jorge Masvidal's division.
Same with Nate
You know?
Diaz. I know he loves the 165.
Yeah, Nate,
He's
Nate
pushing
and
for
Nick
it for
Diaz would be
years.
165ers. That would be a natural weight class.
Right.
Now, you can make the welterweight division 165. Then you do super welterweight at 175, middleweight 185, super middleweight 195.
Right.
And then boom, that's all you do. You add super to two names. And then that's it. It's not like boxing where you have a weight division every
Every
3 or 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Um, it'll fit. Like, I'm talking about the fighter's health first. Like, fighters can more fight at a healthy weight for them rather than make drastic cuts or fight in a division being undersized. Everybody can kind of fight at a division where they're more comfortable in fighting.
Hmm.
Um, that would be huge.
Right.
Um, that's just me think that's just
I know. I
my
think you
personal
have.
opinion, and I think fighters would agree with that. They would be cool with that.
Yeah, I think you have a
I'm
good
gonna be
point.
like, oh, I get to bulk up a little bit. Word, I'll do that. He'll still, like, 5 pounds. He'll still have that speed and quickness. Like that lightning fast jab that he's just developed out of nowhere, kind of. But yeah. And then from a business standpoint, you get more championship fights. So, like, basically every fight card would have 2 or 3 championship fights on it, which would make people more inclined to buy pay-per-views, but it wouldn't dilute the weight divisions because it's only a couple more weight divisions. Oh, and I would add an atom weight women's division for the undersized 115ers.
There should
Um,
be. I
like
agree with that.
Michelle Watterson would probably be able to make 105. Jin Yu Fry, like fighters like that. I know Invicta has an atom weight division. Just throw that atom weight division in the UFC, especially if they're thinking about cutting the featherweight division.
For sure.
But then again, I think Kayla Harrison should be the
It's just
future.
not enough girls, though.
Yeah, there isn't enough, but they should have kept, like, Bellator has a solid 145 women's division, like they actually do. Julia Budd, a couple of other people. But Yeah, like an Atomweight division would be cool. So you can have then 105, 115, 125, and 105, 115, 125, 135, and 145. So five women's divisions, and then you would add two more men's divisions. And that's not way too many championship belts. That's just more champs, which equals more opportunities for
Right.
money for the UFC fighters. And it will allow for more champ versus champ fights, like
Yeah.
fighters going
Even up
up
or
and
down.
down 10 pounds. Like, is Israel Adesanya just went up from 185 to 205, made a 20-pound difference. What if he just went up from 185 to 195 and he fought a guy not the size of Jan Blachowicz? He would probably win that fight.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get your point.
So I think from a business standpoint, you get champ versus champ fights and you have more championship fights, and you could throw 3 championship fights or 2 championship fights on nearly every pay-per-view. So I don't see the reason not to.
Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and
I'm tearing up. I don't think I blinked.
yeah, no, it's okay. You feel a lot. You feel very strongly about
I'm
this topic.
crying.
I know. You feel very strongly about weight classes in the UFC. I get it, man. It's all right. Let it out. But I kind of understand what Dana White's saying when he's just
Let
like,
it out.
I kind of understand what Dana White's saying when he's like, oh, it's gonna dilute it, because it is true. Like boxing has so many of those weight classes. So I like saying you're a champion. There's like 100 weight classes. There's 100 different champions. Just like having only like 8 belts. Like very few. I get where he's saying, but I totally agree with you that I like it better for the fighters. I think it's better in the long run for the UFC because more champions, more name recognition. I think like I don't
Yeah,
know,
instead of
more
eight,
fighters would be relevant. You know what I mean?
exactly. And instead of eight male championship eight male champions, you would have, or eight male championship belts, you would have 10,
Right.
which kind of is like a perfect number.
Yeah.
Like you have 10 belts, all of them fight at least 2 times a year to three
Okay.
times a year. So let's say those 10 got there's with interim championships, with champions getting injured and stuff. Let's just say you have an average of 25 championship fights in the men's alone a year.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 25. Um, that's already two per card.
Right.
The women's divisions, you add one of those to each card. We could have a title. We could literally, like, if they do this, I mean, it'll be a long run time,
Right.
but we can possibly have a pay-per-view card with 4 championship fights on it.
Imagine that'd be crazy.
I would love it.
Yeah, that'd be
I
cool.
would absolutely love it.
I'm all for the
Um,
super cards.
yeah, like these 3 championship fight cards we get now, we're like, yeah, let's go. Like this
Yeah.
could be a normal thing. It could be every fight card.
Yeah.
It would make fans more inclined to buy it. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
more
You'd be like,
casual
oh, it's
fans, like
worth it.
hardcore fans like you and I who buy every single one. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But like from a fighter standpoint and a business standpoint, this just kind of makes sense. I think they should get the ball rolling on this one.
I totally get it. Business. I agree with you. I love it for the fighters. Less weight cutting issues. Better. They would have more even fights. I don't know. I like it for the fighters.
So do I.
It should be. They should just do it for that reason. It doesn't make any sense. You're right. 20-pound difference for 185 to 205. I never
There
understood
shouldn't
that.
be a 20-pound difference
Never
between
understood
these
that.
weight classes.
Yeah.
Like it should be 10. You know, 15 is even a decent amount. Like that's a decent amount of weight. Like you're having guys fighting not at a natural weight for them. When you do it by every 10 pounds, yeah, you still might have some guys who are like, I don't know which division he really belongs in, but you would
Right.
have a whole lot less of them.
For sure. Especially when it gets all gross between 170 and 205. You see guys dropping up and down like all the time. You know,
Yeah.
they can't find which one's good. That's because none of them are good for them. There's not one for them.
Exactly.
and you're not going
So
to find
by
it.
adding weight classes by every 10-pound increment, it just helps the fighters, and fighter health and stuff like that should be important to the UFC.
Hell yeah.
And I think using like overall that would be important, like just important in general,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
it makes sense business wise and it makes sense fighter safety wise. It makes sense fight like people could fight at their natural weight and fight at their full potential.
Hmm.
Like there's no reason not to add just two more men's division and one more female division, especially if you're maybe going to cut the women's featherweight division.
Yeah, which I think they will, honestly.
There's a good chance. It
Yeah,
sucks for Kayla Harrison because she's a fucking stud,
right.
but she's already won $1 million from PFL. She's gonna
Yeah,
win another $1 million after this year. So let's be real. She'll
yeah.
she'll
He'll
still be
retire
fighting.
8-0, whatever the fuck it is. All right,
She's
man.
she's like 8-0 already, so
Yeah,
she'll probably like go up to 11-0 by the end of the year. And then if the UFC and just maybe just being an Invicta champion for fucking
yeah.
4 or 5 years
That's
and
fine.
make some money there. She'll be their biggest star.
Yeah, for sure. She's got the talent. So
Definitely has the talent.
just not just UFC. UFC is weird, man. It's a weird place.
Yeah, it is what it is, though.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Does that wrap up our weight class tangent?
I mean, I think so. I mean, do you have any? That's about it that I have to say about it. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
it's
no,
just a
that's good.
win-win for everybody. I feel like the fans win, the UFC wins, and the fighters win. Why not do it?
For sure.
Pull the trigger.
Hell yeah, dude.
You know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Well said.
All right.
Beautiful.
So yeah, UFC, listen to us, please. This is what we want.
Yeah,
I think a
preach.
lot of the fans would be cool with it, and I think a lot of the fighters would be cool
The
with it.
fans wouldn't care. The fans don't give a fuck.
Well, the fans would care because there's more championship fights.
Yeah. I mean,
Like
like, are they gonna
the
stop watching?
hardcore fans wouldn't necessarily care that much, but like it could bring more casuals into the sport, and it could casuals turn into hardcores.
I meant like they don't. I don't care. I mean, like the fans don't care. Meaning, like, are you gonna not watch UFC because they add 2 more fucking weight classes? It's just absurd.
No, like you'll
Yeah,
be more encouraged to watch it.
yeah,
You'll be like, oh, this guy's fighting at 165 now. Let's see how he looks.
yeah,
You
for sure.
know?
Yeah, and then it will just become normal. That will just be the norm.
Yeah, they could just keep it like that forever. They never need to change it because with boxing, it's a little ridiculous. You have like a 123, a 127, a 131, a 136, a
Mhm.
140, oh, 141, 145, a 149.
Mhm.
Like that's already like 6 divisions
Right.
within 20 pounds. Like you don't need that. But maybe every 10 pounds? Yeah.
Perfect.
Dana White has gone on the record saying he doesn't want it, but he has also gone on the record and has changed his mind multiple times. Remember when he said, "Will we ever see women in the UFC?"
Yeah. Right.
No. Will we ever see Cyborg in the UFC? She
No,
looks like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. Like,
she did. Remember?
tell me she didn't look like Vanderlei Silva in
She
a
did.
dress. That's so Dana has backtracked on some of the things he said.
Hmm.
So I can see if there's a thing for him to backtrack on now, this
Hmm.
would be the perfect thing to backtrack on.
I totally
And
agree, man.
please get some curved gloves. I'll leave it at that.
We're gonna end it on curved gloves. Thank
Curved
you.
glove video
What
talking
we
about
talking about?
officiating, refs, and judges all in one
Yeah,
coming soon.
for sure.